yet, but now
Hold
we
on.
could possibly be live.
Okay.
We are live, and Raymond is in the bathroom. No, he's not.
He's at the end of a tube.
And I sound like Ian.
No, you don't. You sound like Hobbs, and I sound like Shaw.
That's true. Hobbs. Yes, no, Ian was introduced to the lovely movie of Hobbs and Shaw, which has Byron's boyfriend in it, which would be Jason Statham, because he has a thing about all of those things. So, hey, it is that time. We are here for episode God knows what.
18 or 19.
I think it's not, no, I think it's 20. I think we made it to the episode 20, perhaps. We've got more questions to cover. Raymond is with us, so Byron has to be nice, and I can't talk crap about him. So
still throw things at him.
Yeah, he can throw things at him.
Yeah, but I won't fail it, so joke's on you, bud.
Joke's on you. All right, so we're gonna just jump right into.
Before you jump right in,
Ian's got something to say.
no, I was just going to ask you what we're up to. Listeners, I'm talking, not what are we up to.
Oh,
I know what we're up to.
Not. You know what's funny is I think that the Race to 3000 show jinxed us because we're not quite to 3000 yet. So it was kind of interesting. The bonus episode, we found the bonus episode's getting quite popular too. Of I don't know if you guys listened to that one, Ray and I's mindless movie babble.
No, I didn't listen to that yet.
Yeah, no, that one's good. I think we're gonna stagger the launches. Yeah, right now it's 2988 is where we're at. And let me go look at the top episodes. Okay, so
Better than a poke in the eye with a sharp stick.
that's true. FCC is still holding its own. That one's still gaining popularity. I'm not really sure why.
Well, it's probably the FCC are all listening to it because we named them.
It could be Ray and Jay's Day at the Movies, Part 2. Is actually surpassed the one where we didn't talk about hacking. The Race at 3000 looks like it's playing catch up, so that's why I think I'm gonna stagger the episodes if we do a bonus episode. So yeah, so right now we haven't broken 3000, but we're still racing away. Speaking of which, racing away, yesterday I just didn't even bother coming to the office because of the Ironman traffic, because the triathlon was going on in the Woodlands. So I guess I'm going to be playing catch up on Saturday on a Sunday and a Monday.
Drowned in the swimming event.
Yes, we're not sure who yet, but they did announce that somebody drowned in around 6:45 during the first part of the race. It's I think the second or third time that's actually happened, which is tragic. So thoughts and prayers out to the family for that one of the athlete, whoever they may be. I don't think they've announced it because maybe they're having issues. Usually when they don't announce it, they're having issues either finding the family or getting somebody to identify. So, but I'm sure there'll be more details about all that crazy stuff. But, yep. And then, do you have anything else?
No.
Wow, no.
Only.
I have nothing at all. No, nothing at all, Justin. Nothing at all.
Well, I told you about a movie I watched last night, but I don't know if we can talk about it on air.
Yeah, that was actually quite the interesting synopsis of a movie.
And Debbie Does Dallas does not count as a movie.
No, this one was right up there with it, though.
Mark Wahlberg.
What was the name of this one?
That's on Justin's Mount Rushmore.
Wow, no, that is not in my top 10. Thank you very much.
The movie is called, and you can't bleep it, otherwise people won't know. Excuse me, I have a frog in my throat. Balls Up.
Better than that in your throat.
Yeah. Now you're just trying to get me banned.
Hey, Ray, you remember the little conversation we had last week talking about chestnuts?
Yeah.
Oh, back to nuts. Going right back into the explicit territory, 1,000 miles an hour. Love it. Yeah, no, so we did have extra. I mean, we didn't get to all of last week's questions, so I didn't bother putting this week's questions in yet because we still have, it looks like, a lot of questions to catch up on. I think we're going to start out with Audio Noob. So Audio Noob is he's a pretty interesting individual. He started out as a 2-channel guy, and quoting him, not paraphrasing, but just kind of quoting, that he feels like he's conquered the 2-channel world and has lots of questions.
I think you're mixing Mr. Noob with Mr. Snob.
Oh, sorry, Audio Snob. That's right. No, Noob we covered. The Snob we did not. Sorry, that wasn't calling you a snob. But yeah, no. Yes. So the noob we did cover. Snob is the one. So Snob represents himself as an audio guy. He says he's conquered 2-channel audio, and he has a plethora of questions about home cinema and things that might be related to those things for the audio, for the Technology Rocks team. So I am filibustering because I am trying to find those questions.
Well, I've got the questions. I was just going to say I'm old enough to remember when stereo came out.
Oh, see, I'm not. When did stereo come out? That's interesting.
When I was a kid, sometime.
Okay.
When Moses was a baby.
Oh wow. All right. So, all right. Here's
gonna throw something at me.
Here. Yeah. He's got.
I'm sorry, I don't understand all these religious references.
There you go. So he said,
Was he the basket case?
"Hey, don't make Ray say DEI again." So, all right. So he said, all right, here's the direct quote. I've been described as an audio snob. I've seem to have conquered the 2-channel world and have now taken interest in the home theater aspect of things. After searching online, it seems to be all over the place, and a friend of mine turned me on to your show. So welcome, Mr. Snob. Not sure if you're one of the Nuts family, but we'll just kind of go from there. First cousin of the Nut family, and the man of the boat. Okay, so kind of going through his questions. Soundbar versus real surround systems, convenience or compromise, particularly asking about high-end soundbars and slim speakers. So, Ray, you want to grab that one?
That's your territory, bud.
Oh, God, I hate sound bars. All right, so my synopsis is that I hate sound bars.
Okay, but
moving on.
Look at my situation in my living room.
Oh,
you know
God.
what it looks like.
Yeah.
I mean, even a sound bar's got to sound better than a TV.
So, yes.
But
so
I can't put surround sound in a room that's got 18-foot ceilings and no walls to put them into. And
correct.
It's just...
But my sound bar and my speakers and my sub under the bed sounds great.
It's true. So I would say for a snob like yourself, hey, you said it, not me. It's in your name, so I can say.
If the environment allows it, you go beyond soundbar. You go for a proper system.
All right. So here's what I'll
I
say.
agree.
Sound bars are probably one of the most heavily marketed thing out there that is a misconception of what it actually does versus what it sounds like, meaning they put lots of whiz bang boom pow stickers on the box. There's lots of choice options out there. I would say one of my favorites, and I'm going to get flamed for saying it, is would probably be Sonos. I think it kind of checks a lot of boxes for a lot of various markets. I totally agree with Ian. It's anything sounds better than TV speakers. TV speakers are just kind of when they started making TVs thinner, there was a compromise. When you make a speaker thinner, there's a compromise. Now, there is a speaker company out there that defies all laws of physics. I don't know who they sold their soul to get there. but that they go by the name of Totem. So Totem makes a slim chassis speaker that somehow dips into 33 hertz, which is incredibly low for a really small driver, but they're expensive. You know, you're going to spend about $4,500 a speaker on those. So again, that kind of puts you into, if you want to use a slim speaker, or would a tower sound better? Of course it would. But in my opinion, what you're asking is, if you're an audio snob, you don't belong in the soundbar territory unless it's a bedroom, a living room like Ian has described, where it has really high ceilings and you just need a problem solver. It's still going to sound decent. I have a soundbar in my living room. So I have a Sonos Arc in my living room. I'm telling on myself. I know a lot of my audiophile friends are going to flame me for saying that.
So
but
Justin, is it safe to say, since we're talking about sound bars, is Sonos versus everybody else?
So 10 years ago, I would say no. 10 years ago, I would say it was Bose, for everybody versus Bose. And then I think Bose lost their foothold because Sonos jumped into the streaming audio market very well and just dominated streaming audio. And then the soundbar was an afterthought. So they kind of took the opposite approach. Bose had home theater and a soundbar as their primary, and then multi-zone audio was the afterthought, and that's kind of where they lost their foothold in the market, because Sonos just did the multi-zone audio so well. So as of right now, yeah, I would say Sonos Bose. Yeah, no, Sonos would be a force to be reckoned with as far as ease of use, sound quality. Oh my God, expandability for days. You can just
ease of installation.
You can add stuff to it. Room correction. Throw a subwoofer under the bed, and Byron did.
Spice it up somehow.
Yeah, there you go. And in fact, I think Ray even uses that, right, Ray?
Yeah, I have a Sonos Arc.
Yeah, and Ian uses a different one. I think you use a Samsung, right?
Yeah, and it's a cheap one. I just wanted to improve on the TV sound. So
right.
I did have a Samsung one for a long time. I think I got secondhand. I mean, it was just better than TV, but
yeah,
it wasn't a full thing.
I have a Samsung and an 8-inch sub in the garage, on my garage TV.
Yep. Yeah. No. So here's the thing, Mr. Snob, if I can call you that. The names crack me up. I'm sorry, I'm a child. If you're trying to conquer home cinema, or even darken the doorway of conquering home cinema, the soundbar is not where you want to be. It's just that's just.
Well, that's what I was going to add. Is that I ended up upgrading to another Samsung soundbar. It comes with a sub, which isn't huge, but it sits behind the TV, and it just gives that extra.
It gives you the horsepower.
But I also got the one that has a couple of speakers at the rear, which is only small speakers either side of the couch, but it does make a difference. It gives you
you had an experience. You had a fun experiment the other day, and let's talk about that for a minute. So Ian texted me late at night. One night he was watching, I think, Firefly, right? And
Blu-ray.
Yeah, so he was experimenting, and he
in a Blu-ray player.
Yeah, in a real live Blu-ray player. No gasoline required for that thing, and so. No petrol, we should say. But he noticed that it had a lip sync issue, and it was the only, I think he had a few discs where he started noticing a lip sync issue, and this particular soundbar actually hooked up wirelessly, like no physical connections hooked up to the TV. Yeah, Bluetooth.
And that's how my sub is for the Samsung. It's wireless.
No, but this was the whole soundbar.
The soundbar...
Yeah.
It's talking to the TV Bluetooth, it's talking to the sub Bluetooth, and it's talking to the thing at the back, two speakers on another maybe Bluetooth or another wireless channel. But it was weird because I didn't have a problem with stuff that was plugged straight in, like the Amazon Fire Stick and the Comcast TV box, and I didn't have a problem with a 4K Blu-ray because it's a 4K Blu-ray player. But when I put in a standard Blu-ray and played it, it was probably the sound was half a second behind the video.
We have that problem on when we stream from like Netflix and Amazon when the original movie was not recorded in English. When they converted the language from like say Korean to English,
okay.
Italian to English, then it oftentimes
Everybody looked like the
The
Kung
mouth.
Fu movie.
Oh,
Right,
if it was
the mo-
dubbed.
like-
If it was dubbed.
I come to avenge my father.
and, you know, hey, but you know those movies when it was Bruce Lee movies when the mouth moves before the words come
Yeah,
out.
like Kung Fu.
When you was
Yeah.
when you watching when you was drunk, they all come together.
Anyway, we went through several scenarios to try and resolve this, and the way it stands at the moment, the soundbar is hooked up to the TV with an optical cable, and that's
Yeah, you
solved
didn't want to use ARC. The reason why ARC actually did better, but it did all kinds of other funky things. Like it wanted to
Yeah.
control things.
and it was because
yeah,
we couldn't turn
CEC.
on ARC on its own on the TV without doing HDMI CEC, which they call something else, AnyNet Plus.
Yes.
Yeah, internet
Samsung.
post, the internet. Plus.
So we couldn't turn one on without the other, and if I turn AnyNet on, it was messing with the on and off functionality of the Logitech Harmony Hub. So it was like, no,
So my story, me and Justin had this. So my soundboard that's in the garage, I bought the Samsung Curve TV when it first came out.
He was one of those.
And I bought the matching soundbar. But for years, for some unknown reason, I hooked the soundbar to the TV with the optical cable. And so after we did after I did the soundbar in my bedroom, I'm sitting in the garage one day looking. I was like, this TV got ARC. Why don't I just hook it with ARC? And so I did connect it with ARC. I had to enable the AnyNet because
Yep.
I used TiVo. I had to program the Samsung soundbar in my TiVo remote so it could control the volume because AnyNet didn't control the volume through ARC.
So ARC works wonders, and on the generation of TV that Ian has, it was a newer feature for that particular generation of TV.
it's quite old now, Series 6.
Yeah, and so in one, I mean, I think it was circa 2015, 2016, somewhere in there, and that was when people were just coming around to use ARC, so they baked it into one feature. Now, for the audience listeners that are listening or not listening, you can turn that on and off, like toggle individual settings now. So the more devices you hook up when CEC is turned on, which is an HDMI control standard, those devices try to be helpful, quote unquote, and tend to want to take over the television if they're sensed on or off. So if you have an Apple TV and a Blu-ray player and a cable box and yabba dabba doo, all of these things have brains with CEC controls built into them, and then they start
doing their own thing.
yeah, they start
and
competing with one
I've
another,
actually
which
got-
is what you were dealing with.
And I have got a problem now, which it's a little bit of a pain, but because it's coming in through the optical digital, for some reason, if there is no signal coming into the soundbar after a certain amount of time, the soundbar just turns off. And I haven't looked to see if there's a setting to change that, but it's like, so if I pause it and I go away and I forget about it, I go back half an hour later, the TV's still on, it's paused still, and I'll hit play, but now there's no sound because the soundbar's turned off.
Well, that doesn't surprise me at all. That's just a sleep setting on the soundbar because it's not sensing any activity of whatnot. And it's
Right, but
just
it
trying to
didn't
conserve
do
power.
that if it was on the Bluetooth or the HDMI connection.
That's because the TV. Well, it's a great question. There's actually a logical explanation for that. The Bluetooth would stay awake because the TV's still on, and the ARC would stay awake because it still sees a conversation back
Yep,
feed
like a
from the.
handshake.
Yep. Whereas optical, if it's not given anything to do, it's not
And it's
seeing
a-
anything,
it's a
and then it
one-way
just goes to
street.
sleep. Yep, it's not a two-way conversation. You're just telling it what to do. Yeah, no, exactly. That's why. So that kind of answers itself on that one. So I would say if you're trying to conquer the world of cinema, soundbars and slim speakers are probably not going to where you start. It's probably not where you're going to want to start unless you're trying to keep us alive and stay married. because that's where I put soundbars in compromised territories. Like Ian, I couldn't say it any better than Ray, Ian, or Byron. It's better than TV speakers by leaps and bounds, but don't get it twisted. It's marketed very aggressively to be a surround sound thing, which, yes, it is a surround sound thing in comparison to TV speakers, but it's not in comparison to traditional physical speakers and whatnot. And again, the slim speaker category, there's a lot of those people that jumped, a lot of heritage brands that jumped into this. Paradigm, Martin Logan did, Bowers did for a hot minute. And then you have some esoteric brands like Totem and a couple of other ones that are out there, Triad, a few others, and they're all compromising something. They're using small drivers, thin cabinetry. Anytime you make your cabinet thinner, then you're going to compromise low frequency, and especially when using a small driver. Totem is the exception of the rule. I know JBL Synthesis, I'm saying it but not supposed to, actually has something in this category that's supposed to release in July in the slim speaker on-wall category, so we'll be interested to kind of test drive those. Hopefully we'll get a sneak peek of that sometime soon. Cat's already out of the bag on that anyway because somebody's already kind of blew it when they weren't supposed to, so I'm just springboarding off that. All right, going to the next question. Streaming versus physical media. Who wants to take that one?
I'll give my 2 cents on it.
All right. Ian has 2 cents.
I think that the quality of streaming, particularly when you get to the 4K level, is not as good as an original media.
Okay.
So, yes, quality takes a hit, but I think that people are less conscious of it. They just absorb the content without worrying about the quality. Whereas I like to, if it's a 4K, I like to see all the quality of the 4K, which is why I've started watching stuff on 4K Blu-rays.
Right. No, I got you. What about you, Byron? You got anything?
Well, most streaming services, when they come to 4K, they want you to pay extra.
That's true. That's a new thing. I know Netflix just started that. Now Amazon kind of moved into that category as well.
But I've been spoiled by Kaleidoscape, so when it comes to 4K, I just go to Kaleidoscape. I can't.
You just can't do it. How about you, Raymond? What do you got?
I used to think that streaming was a little off, but not as good. But I think as the technology gets better with streaming, that it's definitely going to be the near future of quality.
I agree. I couldn't agree with all three of you guys more. I think physical media is dead. I'm sorry, Blu-ray warriors. I really do. It's just Ian is flipping me the bird. He is flipping me the falcon, ladies and gentlemen.
Especially since Kaleidoscape lets you do disc to digital.
The falcon has left Ian's hand. He is shooting me the mother falcon. All right, so
the eagle has not landed.
The eagle has taken off. Yes. No, I would say physical media is dead. I don't see it making a resurgence. I've done the math. And again, I'll happily eat my humble pie because I'm a disc warrior. So I'm coming at it from a place of I love physical media, but you also have to come from a place of reality. When you lose $780 billion in one industry, you're not going to jump back from that. Everybody says, well, vinyl made a comeback. Vinyl couldn't even count $1 billion. Okay. And even when in its heyday, they weren't in the billions and things like that. So,
and 5 album titles does not justify a comeback.
No. Well, and here's the other thing about physical media. Because I'm taking a little bit different approach to it. So physical media, movie studios have stopped making physical media in a lot of medians. I know Disney kind of pulled out of that market. Sony picked up the slack a little bit, but then they just decided, nah, this is stupid. Nobody's buying it. And a lot of these movies, like F1, for instance, that's owned by Apple, they're not going to come out with an F1 disc as far as I know. I may be wrong on that. But so a lot of your newer movies that are blockbuster movies are not going to be released on physical media. And so as far as it taking a quality hit, I think Ray is dead on. I think streaming will predominantly get better as we go along. It already has. So if you look at it, the birth of it, 15 years ago, or I would even say 10 years ago, when people were just now getting used to using it, and then where it's come now, you have Dolby Atmos, 4K, Dolby Vision, so many medians and so many people have adopted the surround sound technologies. It's just not going to sound as good as a disc. And if you want the most out of your home cinema, then Kaleidoscape needs to be in the conversation, or a Blu-ray player needs to be in the conversation. You want to get the most out of your system.
And when turns happen as the byproduct, as we getting forced into the more streaming world, then the internet speeds to your house is going to increase.
Yes. No, internet prices have already increased, and they have data cap. They're starting to do data caps. The more and more people, the more streams you have and whatnot. So the Kaleidoscape definitely does not help with your data cap. So as far as how many movies you download, go to your friend's house to download movies and then bring it back to here.
On a portable drive. Huh?
Yeah, bring it back to yourself. Or no, bring it to my shop, download it on a gigabit, and then, take it back home, because we're not capped as of yet because we're on commercial. But I think you're right. I think it's going to get better. I wouldn't say quality has taken a hit. I think that verbiage is wrong. I think, if anything, quality has increased on the streaming medium, if anything. But yeah, no, I don't think. I think it's going to get better as we go along, for sure.
If you're comparing apples and oranges, obviously when I digitize a movie to put onto Plex, and we discussed about the compromise between size and quality, and I got it down to a point where I felt that the quality was good enough. The quality is doing that is still better than what I would see on streaming.
Yeah, no, again, for the media server builders, or for people that are getting, that would be a good show to have, talk about on media, how to build one, and, what the avenues and pitfalls and stuff are on it, assuming we can actually talk about that. But, to me, when I was a media server builder, and I was doing those things, it was about convenience. It was about having all your movies in one place. It was about having that cool factor of being able to do it, and being able to sit in your couch and stare at your movie shelf on their giant screen. It was just cool to me, and still cool to me, which is why I fell in love with Kaleidoscape. The whole reason I started building a media server, which Ian and I kind of shared the same love of doing so, the experimentation of it, was because I saw a Kaleidoscape, and there was no way in Hades I could ever afford one, and that was back in the day when the entry level system was $15,000.
And now you're in Hades and you've got one.
Now I'm in Hades. Well, the shop has one. I don't physically have one at home. Like, Byron actually asked me that question the other day and asked if I had one at home, and I don't. I do not have one at home. And it's kind of silly for me to have two. So, I could do, and I just don't have a system worthy enough of it at home. I think
better watching it in that room with the beast than it would be at home even on a big TV.
Well, right, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, if I really want to watch a movie, I would just come up here and watch a movie. So, and plus, I have OLEDs at home and Sonos soundbar, and yes, a Kaleidoscape will make a difference in all of those applications. But it's just one of those things. So, short story long, which is the version I should have started with. I think physical media is just going to dwindle as time progresses. I think Kaleidoscape will get a better foothold as they battle with pricing. I think the Strato M at $3,000 is still absolutely doable for most people that are building large home theaters and even medium-sized home theaters. If you look at it, that's $1,000 more than what the highest-end Blu-ray player was when they were released. You know what I mean? So I don't think it's outside of the scope of budgetary things, as long as you stop throwing rocks at it, and the fact that it can only hold 8 movies and things like that. You can only watch one movie at a time anyway, as Byron brilliantly said when he purchased his. So yeah, no, I mean, that was a good question though.
And going forward, the only reason why I would consider purchasing a terror server is if I did get another Kaleidoscape, like say for the bedroom, then that way I won't have to worry about what's on each individual box. I can.
That's a great question for Kaleidoscape. I don't know how. I think it still pulls from the primary. I don't think you can use individual.
So if I would, but same way saying
hard drives.
If I would get a M, I'm still pulling movies from everything that's on the V.
Right. Correct. Yeah, no, I think I believe that's the relationship of it. Or
without the
if you bought a V, then whatever has the largest drive, it would pull from that, I think is how that would work. But that's a great question. I hadn't thought about that one, actually. All right. Moving on and soldiering forth and moving on. Expensive speakers, worth it or snake oil for the home theater category?
I think you need to buy what works and sounds best for you that is within your budget.
Well,
that's simple, but you don't. You can always go and somebody can say, "Well, yeah, but these sound better, but they cost twice as much." But it's like,
from experience, your listening preferences is always going to overrun your budget.
No, but that's the point. If you allow it, like certain people do, and spend more money than they think they wanted to spend, then they've screwed themselves.
So, Ray, you weighed in on this pretty heavily last week, and actually very spiritedly, when you said that, and I quote, well, maybe not a direct quote, but I think you classified the expensive home theater speakers as bull. Is that correct? What is your take on it?
I stand by my word.
Okay, so Raymond still thinks expensive home theater speakers are bull.
Well, it's just like Ian said, it's all about preference, really. But I mean, I don't think you have to spend, $20,000 a pair for a pair of speakers that do the same thing that $1,200 pair of speakers can do. I know it's all about, the copper wound. It's all about, the compression. It's all about, the ohms, and I know the physics of it, but it just, you don't have to have $20,000, $50,000 speakers to make your stuff sound good. Right. If you want a movie theater sound,
sorry, Ray,
go to the damn movie theater. Like, don't.
For those of you
that
don't
need a tower in there with 50,000 tweeters in it, So.
But Ray, on the realistic side, when I switched from the Paradigm Monitor series to the Paradigm Founder series, that was different, like night and day.
For those of you that heard that was not somebody peeing in the microphone. I was just pouring my Red Bull into the cup, and I didn't realize what it sounded like until I was pouring my Red Bull in the cup. So,
and I mean, I'm a living witness of that. You know what I'm saying? And so the difference in the cost
to the Red Bull thing or to the speaker thing?
To the speaker thing.
Oh, okay.
The difference in the cost was over $1,000. But to me, from going from sounding something like in a tin can versus a full sound was worth the amount of money to spend.
So, Ray, would you say the type of speaker, would you say the cost of a speaker would increase exponentially having a larger room versus a smaller room?
I mean, if you have a small room, you're not going to put a huge tower in there, you know what I mean? But
well, you hate towers. You're not a tower guy.
I am not a tower fan. No, not at all.
And you're not an in-wall fan either, right?
Oh, what?
You're not an in-wall fan either, correct?
I am not. No, I think it's.
Well, you've just.
But again, I mean,
crapped on two different types of speakers. Yeah.
But as far as the speakers go, the speaker quality, yeah, there are speakers that are better than others. I agree. But that being said, that doesn't mean that you can't make a $1,200 setup sound like a $10,000 setup. It all depends on the sound guy, who's EQ in the room, the type of room you have. I mean, it's going to vary, but I stand by not having to spend an extra 20, 30, 50K on speakers. It's asinine to me to think that
So
that's going to make everything sound better.
I think in the 2-channel world, this is where the 2-channel world differentiates from the home theater world. And so I'm actually agreeing with you. Let it be made known. Well, no, because I think John Dahl, which was he was a proper English gentleman who was teaching THX level 3. And John, during level 3, we had all shapes and sizes and facets of professionals in the industry sitting in one room. And John, and I quote, said, there is no such thing as a $15,000 to $20,000 a piece home theater speaker. Yes, you can use $15,000 to $20,000 a piece speakers for home theater, but you're overthinking it, is what he was saying. And that's all he does. That's all he did. Was he was very heavily involved with the engineering side of THX, and then was very involved in the instructional side of THX. And again, my thing is use the right tool for the job. Now, in Byron's situation, Byron has a large room. He has very big towers. His center channel was being swallowed by the size of even the in-wall speakers that he was using, which were 8-inch in-walls. So the center channel was just being absolutely dominated by the other factors in this room. And again, that kind of goes, if you go back to the rules of home theater, that is my number one. That was like number 3, I think, is, don't neglect your center channel on that, because it's the hardest working speaker in the group, but it's the most neglected. It's the one that you pick after the fact. Everybody's always worried about the sexy towers and the big subwoofers and all that thing, but they can't wonder why I can't hear voices, which is also going back to the first question. That's the thing that hurts the most in most soundbar application is the voices and the dialogue, because they try to condense all the sound effects and everything else in one Campbell soup can. And it just kind of, the dialogue gets washed away by the effects and the surround stuff it's trying to triangulate around you. But going back, it really just depends on what your variation of expensive is, and so, and it depends on, I agree with Ian, you need to be budget conscientious of what you can spend. Byron proclamated that, he could definitely hear a difference in his center channel, because it's 3 times the size of his older center channel. It really is. And it's I mean, the thing is like a tower speaker you turn on its side. When he saw the box of it, he was like, "Dear God, is that it?" And it was like, "Yeah, no, that's it." And it's not playing keep up anymore. In fact, all the other speakers, I would say, are playing catch up now. So I would agree with Ray. I would say it's not. I don't think it's snake oil, nonetheless, but I think there's a silliness factor, there's bragging rights factor of all of these industries, and I don't think home theater isn't susceptible. You got to think about this for a minute. A 2-channel speaker is built differently than a home theater speaker. A 2-channel speaker is trying to mimic what's being recorded in the studio. That's actual sound. A Steinway piano, a Fender Stratocaster, a Gibson Les Paul, a Marshall Tube JCM 900, a Marshall Tube amp, a Sennheiser microphone, a Shure microphone. So it's actually trying to capture the magic of those artists and whatever microphones and things they're using. Telefunken microphones for, guys like, Metallica and things like that. That's what I'm saying. the hardest part for someone that's an audio engineer is to try to make a Stratocaster sound like a Stratocaster, or an ESP sound like an ESP, or a Korg or a Yamaha or whatever. A 2-channel speaker does that, captures that type of magic. Now, if you apply that to home theater or even home cinema or even Ray's World commercial cinema, it's a totally different animal. A punch isn't a punch, and an explosion isn't an explosion, and a gunshot isn't a gunshot. This is all synthesized sound. And so a lot of times these natural sounding speakers like a Sonos Faber or something like a Kef or something that, and I'm not saying, I was just thinking of Sonos Faber out of the limelight because that's an Italian handmade speaker that's made for 2-channel audio. Sometimes when you take a speaker like that and you put it in what I call, or what Kevin back in the day used to call it, the snap, crackle, pop world, the bowl of Rice Krispies, with the sound effects and somebody slapping a horse saddle and all the sound effects guys, they don't excel well. They don't do well in that stratosphere. So I would say, before budget comes into play, but look at the frequencies of it. Look at how movies are made and what speaker is going to capture those frequencies. Would you disagree with that, Ray?
No, I wouldn't disagree with it, but yeah, I think it's just a matter about like you said, looking at the overall aspect of what the speaker is going to do. Now, as you were talking,
I was sleeping.
One of the things I did forget to mention was the fact that you have speakers that do run a little hotter in the high frequency range, which is going to make a difference, right? And so I think that's where you want to look, and that's where really where you're going to be subjective as far as like what you like, because I personally don't like very high frequency speakers.
So something like a Martin Logan that has an HVFR ribbon, or something like a horn tweeter.
Yeah. It's but there are people that like that. There are people that like that type. But yeah, I think it's just a matter of what's going to appeal to you. I just don't agree with on certain things, and that's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah, well, the thing about it is, it's just a differentiation. It's a difference of opinion. Home theater speakers are built different than a commercial speaker. If you look at some of the higher end brands like a Synthesis, they're taking the characteristics of a commercial speaker and just improving them, because they're, commercial speakers can be serviced on the fly and things like that, and whatnot. And they're not as worried about fit and finish, because who gives a crap what they look like in a home theater aspect of it, or a commercial movie theater aspect of it. And most of the sound field is hidden, that's doing a lot of the lion's share of the work. But yeah, no, I would, yeah, no, and that's just what it is. Going into room correction, Dirac versus proper speaker placement. I think you and I can knock this one out very easy. The proper speaker placement is always the best way to approach, and then use room correction after. That would be my opinion.
As far as, I'm sorry, repeat that?
The question was room correction, Dirac versus proper speaker placement. What matters more? I don't want to say one of them matter. I would say proper speaker placement matters more than just leaning on room correction. And then and I would say it's a delicate ballet of utilizing both things, is what I would say.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it is. You got to, you put your, always do hardware first, software second.
Yep.
That's how we
Physics.
look at it. But
Yeah.
when we're setting up anything, whether we're setting up stream files or we're setting up audio, you always want to mess with your hardware first, software second.
Yep.
And
No,
that's how.
I agree with that. So, and we've kind of beaten that one into the ground over the, yeah, no. And I go back into the last few episodes. I would say it's probably 5 or 6 episodes ago. Ray and I kind of jumped into that one pretty heavily. So I would revisit those episodes on that one. Mr. Audio Snob, great questions though. Projector versus TV. What's the real home theater experience? Oh, dear God.
A real home theatre experience has got to be projector.
Well, right. Bigger, larger than life.
Because a movie theatre, is a projection.
I agree.
And if you're trying to emulate on a smaller scale,
Then a TV, a large TV. I think it's an interesting opportunity at the moment because back in the day when we were slinging projectors like crap on a shingle, it was
spaghetti on the wall.
why I said shit on a shingle. I don't know. It just jumped in there. I can't help it. No, but back in the day, it was $1 per square inch. That was the way to go. But as TVs have gotten progressively cheaper and more cost effective, I would venture to say they'll give some projectors a run for their money.
They will, but I still, and even though I'm looking at putting a TV in instead of a projector,
Which I did see that one, yeah.
Then I would say, like, you talk about home theatre experience. If you want that experience, you get a popcorn machine and you get a darker room and you get a projector with a decent screen.
Yep. You go as big as you can, as big as the room calls for. I cannot unhear having my center channel directly dead nuts right there front and center of the screen. I cannot unhear that, and the more I've done it over the past several years, the more I've installed them that way the past several years. It's just so cool to not have voices come from the character's feet or from above their head, and it's just I that part just alone makes me lean toward a projector.
Would this be a correct assumption to say is home theater TV, home cinema projector?
That's a good analogy. Here's the thing. If you're a picture guy, like if you love a good picture, hell, move your couch closer to the television and go big. No, I'm saying, because a lot of commercial screening rooms, like a lot of the rooms where this shit's mixed, that's what they're doing. They've got an OLED television so they can calibrate color. And then they've got monitors underneath and around the television staged in the room so they can mix a movie. A lot of screening rooms are built that way, and a lot of these directors use those types of rooms. But again, I enjoy a bigger screen. I love the softness of a projector. It's like sometimes it creates that realism, in some cases, because to me, certain TVs push past the point of contrast where they don't look real anymore. They look like a cartoon. And Ray, what's your thought on that one?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm a projector guy, but yeah, if you really, yeah, I gotta agree with Ian. Like, if you really just want that whole cinema experience, then you would just have to really design your room.
Let it be made
like
known,
the theater.
The Technology Rocks team is all agreed on one thing.
But I'm still going to put a TV in.
But
Well, yeah. Well,
that's
your room
because-
calls for it, though. I
because
mean,
you
your
get-
room's more like a living room.
Because Ian, you're building a home theater. You're not building a home cinema.
No, he was just in one.
What's the difference?
It's a difference. It is a
I
difference.
just said, what is the difference? I didn't say, is there
oh.
one?
No, because we talked about it on the show. What 5, 6 episodes?
Something like that. The difference is the pressure. The pressure reading into our next question. Subwoofers. One big subwoofer or multiple smaller ones
Or multiple big ones.
That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna counteroffer and say multiple.
You
big
can
ones.
never have enough subs.
Under the bed.
Under the bed, on top of the bed, in the wall, because I got a sub in the wall.
Bow, chicka, bow,
In the wall, sitting on the floor.
Raymond, what is your thought on subs?
You can't have too many subs.
Figuratively speaking,
No,
right?
I mean, if you're using your subs as, you have your LFEs, you have your main subs. I mean, as long as you're not using all of them to kind of distract when there's like massive explosions or anything like that, again, in my opinion, I think
But
that if
starting-
people have the misconception of subs being too like everybody wants to be super boomy, and that's just not like how that it's supposed to be. I mean, you're EQing a sub in the 120s and you're asking for trouble. You're EQing a sub too low, like in the 32 hertz or 40 hertz or whatever, and you're cutting everything else out from there, then you're asking for trouble. But to me, you can do good with 2 to 3 subs depending on the room size, maybe 4 if you have a big room.
So you're an
I don't know
80.
if I
You're an
think that-
80 hertz guy.
I'm an 80 hertz guy.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think
I don't know if anybody can take me out of that, and then unless I see something different or otherwise. But I mean, that's kind of what I meant.
you'd probably say one big sub is not ideal, because it's, even though subwoofers are supposed to be, doesn't matter where you put them, I think it does. Am I correct?
Yes. No, I would agree with
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
That's not the popular opinion, but yes. No, on this show, it's the popular opinion. But in most forums, you'll find some ass monkey. Oh, I said, sorry. Hold on. There we go. Monkey that will say, I've actually been quite good today. I haven't gone off the rail a little bit. It's because Raymond's not here physically in the room, not giving me his Raymond look. No. Contrary to popular belief, a lot of these forum monkeys will chat GPT this, which, by the way, I hate chat GPT for all this crap. But they'll say, oh, subs are non-directional, or the wave's non-directional, doesn't matter where you put it. And that's wrong, because it's physics. It does matter where you put it. It doesn't matter what corner loading versus non-corner loading. It matters if you put them on one side versus the other side. If you put on the left side, then the left side's going to play louder, especially for you 2-channel nuts that are out there that love 2-channel. Get 2 subs. It's just what it is. Equalize the 2-channel experience with the 2 subs. But for home theater, the good fun, THX said it the best, and this goes way back. He said 1 sub bare minimum, 2 subs better, 4 subs awesome. Any more than 4 subs, you better watch your EQ, which is exactly what Ray just said.
Because I got 4 subs, and I guess backwards is kind of hot, because on certain movies, the pictures I had on the wall is kind of, I think it's flapping. But the other day I went and held the pictures on the wall, and I still heard the noise. So
source makes a difference, is what you're saying. Because you weren't getting that type of vibration with Apple TV or TiVo.
Well, I didn't really change this. Well, true.
Yeah.
True. Also, I changed cables. Well, not take that back, not to the subs. But I don't know if, technically speaking, I don't know if it's the sub or the rear speaker. But it's on that one left side corner. And I got 3 pictures on the wall, and then when certain things hit, it's like the pictures are
So
flat
left
on the wall.
side corner facing the screen?
Yes.
Okay, that's an easy one to answer right there. That is a triangulated, that is the corner, apex of the corner of a room, whereas on the other side of the room you have a doorway. So there's a vacancy, which you probably keep open. Oh, you'd close the door? Okay,
But
so
it's not perfect. It's not positively sealed.
right. So air is going to escape out of that left side. So that side doesn't count because you have two wooden doors that flap and move. But the right side, it's two sheetrock surfaces, and it triangulates the sub, and yeah, it's going to sound. So what I would do, and this goes for any home theater out there if you're having the same type of issue, which this is a very common issue, is turn the gain down in that corner of the room, and then you may want to adjust the gain on the other side of the room to compensate from it to
Marantz-
equal amount.
Marantz don't give you that flexibility. It's either
Yeah, no, it's either all or nothing with
together,
Marantz.
front and rear. That's it.
Yeah, no, it's and that is, that kind of goes back into your room correction and base mapping and whatnot. So, Ray, do you have anything else on that? You agree, disagree?
Nah, I mean, that's pretty much,
Let it be
what we said.
Let it be made known on the
Yeah, I got
calendar.
nothing.
But Ray,
that
Ray, I
has
still want.
agreed.
I still want floor subs. I mean, floor subs in the floor firing up under the couch.
Just do them in the ceiling.
I have a sub in the wall already.
No, in the ceiling.
That's like a wall. Because we had the downstairs got the sub in the wall, and the problems we have with that mug.
Right.
If you
But
put
why
your
would you
subs
wanna
under
put
the
it in-
couch, you fire them down, you'd be better.
Then firing them up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
fire
what I'm
them
saying.
down.
That's what I'm saying. Put them in the ceiling, because it doesn't matter where. It matters where you put a sub, but if you put a sub in the ceiling, the wave is still going to create itself. And
And for the record, if you put a sub in the wall, make sure you do the proper framing and structure and padding and insulation. If not, when it hits, it's like the freaking wall about to fall apart.
oh yeah, yeah. To me, in-wall subs are kind of a last resort if a interior decorator or wife does not want to see subs. But I do not enjoy the in-wall sub experience for that very reason, not because of lack of performance. Some brands do better than others, but it has to do more with that. It has to do more with structural integrity and what the anomalies and rattles that you're gonna find.
If you
in the
plan
room.
correctly and you building a room and you plan correctly, they do make kits that is directly you're supposed to put in during construction phase for the in-wall sub that we alleviate all those problems.
Ray, there has been a sub type, and you may already know the name for it. It's getting referred to a lot in the industry, and golly, I just went blank on it. It's not Ascendo. There's a brand called Ascendo out there that talks about it. And I was going to ask you if this is kind of a marketing thing, or is this a real thing, and maybe you guys are already using it. Hang on, there's a type. I don't want to say wave forming. It's the wrong word for it. It is a infrasonic. Have you ever heard of an infrasonic subwoofer? Is that a thing in your world? Okay, yeah, okay. I figured that everybody lies. Everybody lies about this crap because they said direct.
Well, you gotta remember, when it comes to traditional cinema, they're constantly looking to upgrade technology. So there might be something out there. There might be something out there with that type of name or technology or whatever it is. But like in my little bubble world, everything is a little more proprietary. So we don't get any of that. Like it's not like we're going to go to CinemaCon and check out all the new latest and greatest stuff. I mean, IMAX does go to CinemaCon, but it's for other things. So, who knows?
I would love to
I think
see.
if
I would
was
love
to
for you to
finish-
read up on that infrasonic and see what your
Infrasonic?
infrasonic. Yeah, and I don't know anything about it. Yes, I know, shocker. This is something I actually don't know anything
Well,
about.
is it just a new buzzword?
Yeah, it's a very much a buzzword, and 2 subwoofer companies have used it. I know Bag End has used it, which I have demonstrated those. My good golly, those are insane. You still got to come and check those out. Those are nuts. And then Ascendo has it, and they're calling infra INFRA Sonic. And my thought is everybody says, oh, well, this is what they use in the commercial world, blah, blah, blah.
Infrasonic refers to low frequency or subsonic sound waves with a frequency below the lower limit of human hearing or audibility.
Well, to me, that's any subwoofer that's worth a darn.
So it's basically moving, but you can't hear it.
Right, like 5 hertz, like anything below 20 hertz. Like most people can't hear below 18.
Does it mean you can feel it?
Yes.
Right.
You can feel it in your giblets. Yes. You will feel like when.
So Ray said, Ray, is this a correct statement? Bass is made to be felt and not heard. Felt and not heard.
Is that what she said?
Yes, and yes. If you want to feel it, but you want to hear it, but I feel like you want to feel it more. Like you want to feel like you're actually part of that action.
You want a gunshot to feel like a gunshot. Yeah.
Yeah. Just real quick, the best part about being at home is I can actually look up what you're talking about. And basically, Ascendo, their infrasonic subwoofers they try to, from what I'm looking at, it looks like that they want to try to get any subs that are out there that are struggling to hit anything below 20 hertz. So, if you're trying to EQ anything below 32 and your sub can't handle it because of how it's manufactured, then that's what they want to do. Now, do you want anything below 20 hertz? I mean, I don't know. I have yet to. I'm just learning about this like in real time. So I would probably think that you would want to test it out and see if it gives you the goosebumps, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna get Rick on the show from Acurus Aragon Bag End. His company's called Indie Audio Labs, and in fact, he's letting us test drive this Acurus in the front of the shop. I'm about to move it into the home theater or into the theater just because I want to test it for theater now. And I've seen it in action in theater, but I just want to test it on some different stuff. They've got some fun toys for Bag End that they're working on, and I have never seen a subwoofer pushed below a 5 hertz audio wave without hearing distortion out of, basically the subwoofer trying to blow itself apart. And this subwoofer that I demo, well, I subwoofers in plural, in fact, I was so excited I called Ray. I was like, dude, you got to hear this. And then I sent him a video of it, which probably sounded like dirt because of the waves that were going in this room. And, but you could physically see the walls in his room moving, like physically moving off the sheetrock. You could see the walls wiggling. And I was like, your neighbors must absolutely hate you, because he said, yes, no, his neighbors, he had to make friends with them real quick because he was rattling the can lights out of their house next door because these things just a 5 hertz wave is Ray. How long is a 5 hertz wave? Isn't it like 40 foot long or something?
I have no idea.
I mean, it's massive.
I think I'm in all at this 64-inch sub driver that.
Yeah, they call that the McFly. They call that the McFly. That was built to take pictures. I mean, yes, they have them out there, but it was more built to take pictures of than to actually use them. I mean, some people do use them, but it mimics the speaker on Back to the Future that Marty McFly stands in front of.
Put it in your shop. And then when Byron shows up, he's going to want to take it home.
Sure, he'll want to borrow it. Well, he can borrow Byron,
you look at the subs, you don't need more subs. You just need one.
Put it this way. If he can carry it out the door, then I ain't messing with him.
I'll catch a hernia pulling that mug out the door.
It's 5. I want to say it's like 400 pounds and 500. I mean, it's like 6'4" tall, 6'5"
Yeah,
tall. I mean,
okay,
it's
well, move over
massive.
to the 32-inch sub, and then you'll be okay. And
Yeah.
if that one's too much for you, then go to the 28-inch.
Yeah, there you go. Just go to the 28. All right. So, Audio Snob, great questions. By the way, Audio Snob, and we're gonna move on to Cactus Nuts. We're gonna move on to him, and
These people are all nuts.
well, yeah, but God, how do you? I have questions with your. Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
yeah. Now I have so many questions. One, you don't ever want to accidentally sit on the. Okay, never mind. All right, so let's go on to.
The same questions.
I think it's the same thing. Is physical media dead or making a comeback? Ian would say it's making a comeback. Gaming
a revival, I would say, not a comeback.
Yeah, streaming killed the bit. Yeah, we've already done all this. I think we already kind of covered most of that. Okay, gaming consoles versus PC. What's actually? But I am not well versed in any of that.
They're intertwining, man.
Do it.
Are they
They're
asking our,
intertwining.
I didn't hear you. What was that?
They're coming together. Like, I mean, the way that consoles are being made in this day and age. I mean, I think it's going to get to a point where it's really not going to matter. It's all just going to depend on what you want it to do.
I think they're struggling. I think Microsoft is totally struggling with this right now.
I don't play games on my PC.
Yeah, no, he just played. Never mind. Golly, I could have swung at that one. And I didn't.
Strike one.
Yeah. No, I think Microsoft Xbox is already struggling because I think there was a giant article that they were going to make.
That's 2 balls and a strike then.
Yeah. They're going to make something Halo. I think they're going to make Halo for PlayStation now, and I think the next variation is going to be more like a PC rather than a combo. And here's why. It's hard disk media. Hard disk media is disappearing even in the gaming world, and in stores like GameStop, things like that. I've already seen a trend in that because you can download your video game. You don't have to go out. You can download, that would be interesting to explore to see if there's a quality difference between a physical media hard disk game.
None whatsoever.
And a download. Why?
Because you download exactly the same thing as would be on the hard disk.
But there's a streaming option in that too, where you can stream the game and not download it.
Yeah, because PlayStation makes a DVD, a CD version, and they make an all digital version.
Right. But if you,
A
but
CD
Ian,
or
but,
a DVD is all digital. What's the difference?
well, no, to Ian's point, I can see where you're both crossing the bridge in a different street. But to Ian's point, if you're downloading it, then it's no different than a Kaleidoscape. But there's only limited hard drive space you can have on a PlayStation, just like Kaleidoscape.
Well, no, they give you cloud storage now too.
Oh, well, then now you're streaming again. So,
Well, but no, you can't play from the cloud. It's like Kaleidoscape. You got to do the swap thing.
you got to delete it. So I would say, in my opinion, consoles are numbered because everything is going to be cross-pollinated to PC anyway.
Unless it's Nintendo.
Unless it's Nintendo, I love Nintendo because, I think I told the story back on season 1, and Co had come over, and he and I were it was like a boys' night, whatever, and so he and I were, he wanted to play video games, so we did the thing, ordered the pizza, played the video game. I think he was like 8 or 9 at the time, and I was shocked at how adult content things are on PlayStation and Xbox. Like, I was mortified because I saw Wolfenstein, the game, and I was like, oh, cool, Wolfenstein. Hey, kid, I used to play this when I was your age, blah, 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 blah. It's a cool World War II game, da-da-da-da. Well, Ian, we didn't even get past the opening of the video game. It was that adult and graphic about what it was showing and portraying. And I get it. They're trying to
GTA.
Well, no, it was worse than that. This wasn't even like a sexual thing. This was more of a, like, adult situation in World War II thing that you do not necessarily want your kid to have a first person peripheral of, and at the time there wasn't a lot of warning. I mean, granted, back in the day, Wolfenstein was mature because you were shooting blobs on a screen. So I thought it was kind of like that. I was like, oh, this will be cool. So we downloaded that one. Didn't get past the first trailer. I mean, we didn't, because in these types of games, you're actually playing through the trailer before you get to pick up a firearm or whatever in the game and play it. Yes, I know if you want to flame me because I was playing first person shooter with my kid, whatever, it's fine. But this was not the Wolfenstein of yesteryear. This was something completely different. And I was like, man, because I had just bought him the PS4. This was back when PS4 was out. And so we switched gears really quickly. I was like, oh, well, no, we're not playing this. And then we started playing a different game. And then we found an old copy of Tony Hawk skateboarding game, started playing that and stuff. And then while he was playing that, I was looking on my phone. I was like, dude, what's the safest gaming system to get for a kid his age that where you don't have to worry about basically watching a rated R movie in your living room, or even worse. This was worse than a rated R movie. Like I didn't let it get that far, but if I had kept it on, it would have been farther than that as far as the graphic outcome of what was going on. And so I would put a notice out there to all parents that if you're not monitoring what your kids are playing and watching, this stuff's there. It's out there. It's on PlayStation Live. I know this doesn't involve with the question, but to Ian's point, Nintendo Switch and Switch 2, no qualms about any of the stuff on that thing. It's still very much Mario Brothers and Zelda and where it started and kind of the heritage of where they came from. And the parents appreciate that very much. I know as the Steam engine, that's a gaming service, starts to pick up steam, no pun intended, which it's an online platform where you play against other folks and there's different games and stuff that you jump in there. I think the console, I think it'll all go to PC. Short story long, I think it's all going to go to PC. I would have to get Gavin in here to weigh in on that one. I think we're probably all too old to.
I think, but then there's now problems with the PC world in terms of memory shortage and what have you.
And then video cards.
Video cards. I mean, you pay more for just the video card than you pay for everything else.
Well, I did that. I remember that world back in the day. This was 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Every time a new video game came out, you had to buy a new damn video card. And it was like $1,000 or $2,000 back then.
Now they $4,500.
Right. And it's like, that's not cost effective or realistic, in most cases, just so this one can have the Unreal Engine 3D, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. But I think there'll be a console version. I think the battle between PlayStation and Xbox, I can't even tell you the last time I saw an Xbox in a theater room versus PlayStation 5. So I think PlayStation has kind of left Xbox quite a bit. And I think the console wars hurt them. I think when PlayStation 5 released their console and they didn't have any available units to buy, I think that hurt them quite a bit. And they're just getting expensive. They're talking about these new generation video game consoles being over $1,000 now, and that's nuts. I remember when the PS5 was $400, and everybody was like,
But what drove them to be $400? You remember for a long time you couldn't get it.
Right. Well, that's what I meant. The PS5s, you couldn't get your hands on them.
Right. I call that the Nike syndrome. Nike put out a certain color of Jordan, but they only limited the production to keep the price up.
Right. Well, I bought my PS5 secondhand for the kids, and just because it's like a guy needed some money at the last minute, and he was like, "Hey man, you want to buy a PS5?" And he sold it to me for like $100 or $150, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll buy it." And I think I've turned it on. I think Gavin's turned it on more than I have. It's just like it's just one of those things where I'm just not into it. You know, it's just not my thing. But surround sound and home theater definitely caters to the video game world for sure. I mean, there's all kinds of atmospheric sounds and things, especially the scary, jumpy ones like Resident Evil, or I don't even know if Resident Evil's still around anymore, but Doom, I don't even know if Doom's still around anymore. All of the games that were out before you were born, those lay homage to those things. And I didn't realize how much information is actually in a video game. As you move your character, there is a new HDMI handshake every time your character moves an eighth of an inch on the screen. Oh, yeah. I watched it in real time across a Trinov because the Trinov kept blanking out and you losing the picture. And we found out that the feed cable couldn't keep up. So we had to replace it with a faster HDMI feed cable to keep up with that video game system. Because you got to remember, the sound changes every time this character looks in a different perspective. Your speakers also change in that perspective. It's wild. The amount of engineering they put into those things is absolutely nuts. But and which leaves us to our question for Mr. Cactus Nuts. That's it. So, all right, DY. This is Ian. DYI Monkey.
DYI Monkey.
It sounds like your name.
Yes, have been attributed that name. Well, not quite that name. I was called a ladder monkey once.
Well, rack monkey, ladder monkey, it all makes sense.
But yeah, I'm DYI.
High-end AV,
Actually,
overpriced or misunderstood, Ian?
DIY, actually. High-end AV.
I don't know what that means. Yeah, high-end AV.
I mean, it's like analogy with cars. A high-end car would be a Ferrari. Is it overpriced? Yeah, because not everybody
but
can
it's
afford
sure a lot of fun.
Exactly.
But you know, and that brings up another topic though to me. Let's bat on this overpriced thing. Because what might seem overpriced to you might not seem overpriced to me.
Because I'm older.
Well,
Not
even
much,
Justin,
but I'm older than you.
even Justin, you know what I mean? I think overpriced. It's a mind conception type thing for.
I take the opinion that everything's overpriced.
True. Ray, what do you weigh in on?
Wouldn't that mean you just cheap?
No.
Or
So high-end AV, is it overpriced or misunderstood?
I mean,
It's hard to
honestly, it kind of
answer.
goes back to the whole,
Yeah.
speaker situation. But
It's a
I don't think
strange
I think it's
question.
overpriced. I don't think it. I don't think it's. I don't think it's like snake oil or anything like that. But
I think Ian.
I need somebody to convince me.
If
I haven't been
something's
convinced
high
yet.
end, it doesn't matter what it is.
I like Ian's analogy. I think I agree with that one.
If it's overpriced, I don't understand why.
Do you think a Ferrari's overpriced?
Yeah.
Do you think it would be fun to have one?
Yeah.
Well, then it's
Well, I don't
is it still?
But I'm never going to be able to afford one, so what's the point?
I wouldn't think
You
Ferrari's
could
overpriced.
get like a Ferrari
because,
308.
Hey,
you know,
I wouldn't think
about the
Ferrari's
price here must
overpriced
be.
because they handmade. So handmade versus production made, the price is going to be
Yeah,
drastically
but
different.
you got a garage floor you could eat off of.
But again, it's the price justifies what you have in some cases. Like a Ferrari or a Rolls Royce. Yes, they're extremely more expensive than the average vehicle, but the reason they're more expensive is because they're handmade. Everything is handmade. They're custom made. Leather is custom stitched versus a machine, so therefore there's more time and more money.
I feel like I need
Yeah,
more.
I do agree with that.
Yes.
I do agree with that.
Yeah, no, I
For
feel
sure.
I feel like I need more information before I can answer the question on it. It's just to me, it's like I love Ian's analogy, because it kind of sets the precedence of I love what Byron just said, and the fact that Ray agrees with Byron, or Ray agrees with Byron. To me, it's subjective in a way, what Byron said in the original. It's subjective of what it what deems it expensive or not expensive. I I'll put it in this category, and I've said this to kids, I've said it to up and coming young adults, I've said it to older folks that get in hot water when they do a purchase, things like that. Just because your credit can buy it doesn't mean you can afford it, and it just and high end AV fits into that category. In my opinion. But Sony used to make a projector 100 years ago that had a xenon lamp in it. Okay. That lamp, and Ian remembers this, and the projector looked like hot rubbish too. It just wasn't, I never understood the concept behind this projector. Unless you used a really small screen, because it was a 1200 lumen projector. It wasn't very bright at all. And the bulb was $1,500. And the projector was $8,000. But it's like, if you own the thing for 8 years, you could have bought a projector. If you have to replace two, and they typically you'd have to buy 2 bulbs a year. So it would cost you about $3,000 a year to own it. So I'm going to put that in the Ferrari category. It's like, if the first service call makes you squeeze your butt cheeks because you can't afford to change the oil in it or service the transmission because it's $2,000 to $3,000, then I'll put it in that category. I'll just say, hey, just because you can buy it doesn't mean you should. Just because you buy it doesn't mean you can afford it. And just because somebody else can buy it and can't afford it doesn't mean that makes them bad either, and doesn't make the product bad, because a lot of products get shit on. Oh, sorry. A lot of products get on because people can't afford it. And I would put Kaleidoscape in that category. Kaleidoscape is the number one most ridiculed. No, AudioQuest is the number one most ridiculed thing on the forums, the cable companies. But Kaleidoscape is number one most people throw rocks at it, and a lot of it is because, I could build one cheaper in my garage, or I could do this. You can't build one. Yes, you can build something that looks like it, but it's not better, and it's not even the equivalent. It's not. And again, this is where I go toe to toe with people that say that.
So would you feel some type of way seeing somebody driving a Rolls Royce putting gas at Costco?
Yeah, that's weird to me.
But
that's like putting Walmart tires on your Ghost. Yeah.
But think about it though. From a financial standpoint, what's wrong with Costco's gas?
I'll tell you what's wrong. Would you like to know?
Well, it's cheaper than everybody else.
It has more it's barely gasoline. No.
Well, they gotta have standards.
Well, yes, but my dad, he's a chemical engineer and worked in an oil refinery for 50 plus years, used to make that bull, and he told all of us boys, do not ever fill your car up at Sam's, HEB, Walmart, Costco, or any of those value gasoline places, because I'll tell you why. Because it's kind of like hot dogs. It's the way they make hot dogs. It's basically the crap that's left over, and they put it in a tube and put it in a shell, and then it lasts forever in a mine, like Vienna sausages. It's made from the lowest quality stuff. They scrape off the bottom of the barrel.
I'm gonna get you the political correct answer. You're correct.
Of the tanker, it has to have more detergents in it to make it legally gasoline. So yes, it is legally gasoline, but barely legally gasoline.
And you're 100% correct. But this is the catch: Sam's and Costco, the price of the gasoline is subsidized by your membership price. It's not the same as HEB and Kroger's. The HEB and Kroger's, because I used to work in the oil and gas. So the HEB and Kroger's gas, what they do is the salespeople call. Look,
we got a tanker full of shit.
I got a tanker full of gas that's about to go bad in 2 weeks.
Right.
I'll let you have it on pennies on the dollar. And he was like, yes, thank you. And
then we'll throw it in there for a cheap price. And guess what? Hopefully it gets sold in 2 weeks or your car's screwed.
But does not the same relationship with Sam's and Costco, because you pay a membership to be part of that. So your membership price subsidized the price of gas. So they's buying quality gas, but
I didn't know.
They buying quality gas and they selling to you cheaper because of your membership price that you pay.
Yeah, no, that I didn't know. But that's what I'm saying. So to me, going back to that, it's like, If you want to buy it and indulge, then buy it and indulge. Just know the more expensive the product is, it is going to cost more to maintain. It's going to cost more when it breaks. Like those $30,000 JVC NZ9s, when that joker's out of warranty, that's a $15,000 repair on that laser. You think you're going to repair it? Hell no. You're going to go buy a new projector. And they know that. They know it. That's the thing. Is or laser projectors better? I don't know. Jury's still out. It's a better picture quality, but I don't know if it lasts longer.
What drove me to get a laser projector is because the manufacturing of
the bulbs. Yep, your projector. You had to make a decision, and there's nothing to go to after that. You have to go with a laser.
Right. So I mean, that's the thing. So you're gonna sit here and wait for it to break and can't get a bulb, then buy a laser, or you're going to be proactive and buy one before?
Yeah, no, that's a cruel question, though. I mean, it's a cool question. Hopefully we spun it for you, Monkey. Spin Monkey. It just, because it's kind of an interesting question, but I would say, no, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I don't think there's anything wrong with high-end gear. I don't think there's anything wrong with people that indulge in high-end gear. And I don't think there's anything wrong with people that save up for high-end gear.
Right. It's you do you. If that's your hobby, if that's what you enjoy doing the most,
then do yourself.
Spend as much money as you can on it.
I give a real example. I was like Ian when my wife was talking about, we need these 800 thread count sheets. We need these 2,000 thread count sheets. I said, that's BS. Sheets are sheets.
Nah.
But by God, the first time I slept on them mugs, I was like, can we get more sets?
Can I?
I was wrong. I was quick to tell her I was wrong. Sheets are not sheets. 1,800 versus a 400 that you can hold in the light and see through.
These sheets.
I will say subwoofers are not subwoofers. So cheap subs are not cheap subs versus good subs. I mean, there's a big difference. There's a difference in quality. There's a difference in how it works. Really, the difference is the amplifier technology and how hard it pushes the speaker and everything else. It's a good question, but it's perspective. I mean, that's what's so fun about this topic is it's all about perspective, and some people have different perspectives. All right, so let's see, big box stores versus custom integrators. Who actually delivers on expertise?
I'm gonna tell you, me personally, when I've been using the same guy for motorcycle mechanics, I've been using the same guy for motorcycle audios, I've been using the same guy for paint and body since 2011. I like the mom and pop shops versus the big box stores because the relationship, in the big box stores, you are just a customer store. But when you go with the mom and pop stores, you become like a family type oriented thing where I can call and just have casual conversation with not wanting anything. I can stop by and just have conversation and talk and just discuss different technologies. And then you might, like when I come to Justin's shop, I always end up leaving with something. So I have to go back and question.
That's your fault.
I have to go back and question our friendship. You know what I'm saying? Because I think I've been getting the short end of the stick lately and for a long period of time, but that's a whole different scenario. But the mom and pop shops to me is more value because you get a better customer service experience.
All right, Ray, where do you weigh in on that one?
You're probably going to be like,
no,
again, but I agree with Byron.
Oh God. Welcome to the world's shortest show.
Hey, Ray,
everyone
it's the left side of the room, buddy. It's the left side of the room.
No, I mean,
where everyone agrees with one another. Welcome to the world's boringest show. All right, Ian, where do you?
I mean, you got to be. I think relationships are established, and then I think that's what makes things a little bit better. I mean, you talk about, you go back to, using you, for example, how many repeated customers you have and what type of relationship do you have with them. And then that should tell you right there. I mean, everybody, they're going to go to Best Buy or Walmart or wherever, and they're going to buy something. But when it comes to something that they want, that's a little bit, quality or quote unquote higher end, I mean, they're going to go see the person that they have a relationship with. In this case, would be you, correct?
I'll wait till the end to answer it, but yeah, no, yes, no, I kind of enjoy that. Yes, I enjoy that perspective of it. What about you, Ian? Big box stores versus custom integrators, or shops who actually delivers on expertise.
I think that what would I choose, or what do I think is the better?
Both, either one.
I mean,
Either one.
Well, I mean, because I'm more of a DIYer, I'm more likely to go to, say, Best Buy to buy something if I can get it there, if I don't need the input of a custom integrator.
Right.
But if it's anything outside of my field of expertise, I'm going to talk to a custom person. I'm not going to talk to, I don't know. It doesn't apply to all.
Byron likes to
but
torture people at big box stores.
Oh yeah, I drive the people at Best Buy nuts, especially them little script salesmen, as I call them. That read a script and you memorize a script. Yes. What about the memory on this machine here? What about it? How much L2 cache and L1 cache does the machine has on the board? Huh? They didn't teach us that.
I mean,
they didn't teach us that in our 5-minute training.
But if I'm going to a big box store, I'm not going to the store.
You're there to get in. It's a smash and grab. You get in, get out.
I'm going there to pick something up I've ordered online. Yeah. So I don't have any input from anybody. It's waiting for me. I go into the store, pick it up, and walk out.
Yeah, I go to the big box stores to look at the latest and greatest and put my hands on it. Because, I mean, you can look at stuff online, but the big box stores will have it on display. You can walk in, touch it, play with it, feel it. Then you walk out and go buy somewhere else cheaper.
So I'll say this, as somebody that runs a small shop versus a big box. I think the big box is there's a lot of folks out there that have a different perspective on this, but people are elated that people like Best Buy are struggling. I hate that. I hate that Best Buy is struggling. One, I'm a fan of Best Buy. I'm a fan. I remember walking into an electronics store and having that experience and getting to browse and look at all the things and just being a nobody.
I miss Fry's.
I loved Fry's. Yeah, no, same thing. Circuit City, Fry's, Tweeter, all those guys, and so I have a little bit different perspective on it, and I'll say this for anybody that's buying from any one of those entities, there's nothing like an expert. But I'm going to say this, and I may get flamed for saying it, and I really just don't care if I do or not. But if you're going to go to an expert, don't go to an expert and get them for information and then go buy it at a Crutchfield or a Best Buy. And don't do the same at a Best Buy either. And because that's rude. That's rude, and it's hurtful, and it's
Best Buy don't have expert advice. It's
hurtful for the people that invest the time to explain technologies to you. And for that, listen to the show. If you want an explanation, a really valid explanation on something, then listen to the show, because we're covering all of these bases. But what I'll say is, if you're gonna go with small, you have to be patient with small. They don't have a hub and spoke giant billion-dollar warehouse that they can pull stuff in a second at a time. And they, typically if they're ordering something like Anthem, or they're ordering something like, Rel, or they're ordering something like some of these boutique brands that Anthem, you can't go to Best Buy, but a Denon Marantz, that's always locally stocked. But if it's something special, that they order just for you, stay the course with them, and it's like, if you really want to support local, don't beat them up on price. Don't, because you're literally taking food off their plate so you can get a deal. That's not what they're there for. If you're going to do that, go to Crutchfield. If you're going to do that, go to an audio advice. If you're going to do, where they're doing those types of things. But be kind to them, because it's just like, it's a lot to be an audio shop in this day and age, where you're against Amazons and you're against,
But even people like Best Buy are against Amazons because
right, and they're getting hit.
and it's
But Best Buy,
Jesus, you sounded like a petite. Yeah.
Best Buy matches Amazon pricing. They
Yeah.
price match Amazon.
But I can tell
but
you,
that's something they have to do to stay alive. Otherwise, they're never going to get people coming in buying anything because they can't.
yep.
And it's the same across everything. It's like streaming. You don't buy media because you can stream it and it's instant. You don't go to a store to buy something because you can buy it online. It's on your doorstep the next morning. You want something to eat, you go to one of many fast food places.
Yeah.
But if you want to savor an experience with food, you go to a restaurant.
Right.
And you sit down and you wait longer and you take the advice of the waiter and the sommelier for the wine and the food, and you enjoy it and you pay a lot more money for it. But it's what you want to do and
It's
you enjoy it.
Yeah, it's an experience.
If you want the
it's
best,
not a quick lane.
if you want the best experience in AV, you come to somewhere like this store and you talk to the people that know, and you do right by them.
Yeah, and just understand there are people too. I mean, I get run ragged. I mean, I do, especially with the Chat GPT AI stuff every day.
Yep.
I deal with it every day. You know, it's like I get hit every day with the brands. Like there was a guy picking out a projection screen yesterday, and I got nailed yesterday with this, and it was Relv, or it was projection screens. It was Sievertson versus EPV versus Stewart versus da da da, and he was one to go with the best. Well, Chat says this one's better, and I said, well, okay, I've installed all three. Where do I stack up with Chat? Because Chat's manipulated by facts and figures that it's scraping online, and
yes, it doesn't know anything.
No.
It's
Can't
just
think.
it's
dumb.
finding the data online that can already be manipulated and swerved.
Not necessarily manipulated. It's just whatever's printed out there and stored is just scraping it and putting it all together. It's grabbing it from XYZ and
Yep.
putting it in A, B, C.
And it's telling you
so
that
it is not an expert or an informed opinion, which is what you get from somebody like you.
right. Well, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. It's just I'm exhausted with that. The AI stuff, and it's just like, well, you know what? You're smarter than I am. Just do what you want to do. What can I get you? That type of thing. And it's almost like they want to validate being correct.
I think that I think the approach I would take if somebody said that to me was like, well, I'm pleased that you've done your own research, but you've now come to somebody who can actually explain it to you better.
Right.
And just say that. And if they say, well, no, I use ChatGPT, then go away and use it, but don't waste my time.
Right.
Well,
No.
I told him, I said, what he needs to do is when people call and want to pick his brain about room building and consultation or whatever, you tell them, come in. And when they come in, say, look, there's a $75 consultation charge.
Yeah, consultation fees.
And if you decide to build based on this chart, I'll waive the $75.
Yeah.
But for me to give you information to take and leave and go and buy for somebody else, it's going to cost you. It's not free.
Yeah. No, and that's kind of where it's coming to. I would just say be nice. It's like if you latch on to somebody, there's a lot of good people at Best Buy, especially this local one up here. Lot of good folks up there, yeah. Philip and Maurice and all those guys up there, just really, really solid guys up there. And I've known them for a long, long time. And just, stick the landing with somebody and stick the landing, it's because it's just hard. It's hard to find somebody passionate, like, somebody like Ray that's a master at his craft, or somebody like Ian that's a master at do-it-yourself. And Ian has this artistry that he takes things that don't belong together and he can make them work. But it takes a lot of time and frustration to get to that. And sometimes painkiller induced to order new iPads or whatever. he's using. And then Byron, again, it's just, I have a special place for mom and pop small businesses. Even before I got into this rat race or hamster wheel or whatever the heck you want to call it. But it's one of those things where you're treated like a client, not a customer, but there's also some frustration points to it as well. And things have changed. It's a David and Goliath. It always will be. That's never going to go away anytime soon anyway. But I would say there's a time and a place for both. I think Ian had a really good analogy. I think Ray had a good analogy. I think all three of these guys had a wonderful analogy with it. And that's if you're going through it and you're stuck, that's where the older guy at Ace Hardware is going to help you out. You know what I mean? And that's a guy that was a general contractor that just can't do the work anymore. But he'll talk you through, get this wax ring for the toilet. Don't get this one. Don't get the rubber one because this one's just better. And that's what I'm saying. That's what an audio shop will do for you. It's like he'll cut through the bull crap. He'll look at it. Because, again, if somebody walks in here, I have no skin in the game because I sell all of it. That's the thing is I can just differentiate what's who, what, where, and when, and what's going on with it. And then kind of move it there. But that's a beautiful question. That's actually a really cool question. It got deep. I didn't mean to get deep, but there's some nerves that it hit in some of those areas of stuff I've been dealing with over the past several weeks. Okay, so DIY versus professional install, yowzers. So 10 years ago, I would say the pro install stuff had so many different features and bells and whistles that was better than the DIY stuff. I think those lines have been blurred
Very
now.
much so. I mean, you look at what I used to do installing networks with the pack edge and the Arachnus and that
Cisco,
sort of thing.
yeah.
You needed a good amount of knowledge to do that. And not many people would build their own networks at home. But with the advent of mesh networks and Eero, Orbi, whatever the other one's called, it's like pretty much anybody can install a decent network now. So that's
or even
one
cameras.
aspect.
I mean, look at the DIY cameras versus what standard NVR and hardwired camera. Look at the people like Ring and Nest and guys like that are up in their game, and their gateway drug was the doorbell. You know what I mean? It's so, thermostats or the thermostat, or the door lock or whatever.
Thermostats can be a little bit more tricky because there's different wiring methodology, and you need.
I would definitely get in it. Here's the thing, guys.
Get an HVAC guy out to do thermostats.
Do you know?
Unless you really know what you're doing.
Well, but here's the thing. I'm going to tell you my horror story, and I do know what I'm doing for the most part. At least I play one on TV when I do. Jason and I were at this giant house, and we were finishing up. And Jason, if you're listening, you're going to laugh your rear end off because, I'm going to tell the story. So it was a hot summer day, unlike today. And it was 105, 106, one of those, just scorcher. And we had just finished Sonos, and we had just done some Logitech remote stuff and TV, float the TV and stuff. They had a couple thermostats laying on the kitchen counter. And because we had just put in Nest cameras and Nest, their smoke alarm stuff.
Google stopped making those, by the way.
I don't doubt it. Too much liability involved.
Well, they partnered with First Alert, so First Alert works on the Google Nest.
Again, back to the liability thing. I'm sure they've crossed some liability guidelines where we're about to get the snot suit out of them because it didn't work right, or it didn't wake somebody up when the house burned or something. And it's Google, so they've got more money to throw at it. But anyway. So they said, can you guys do thermostats? And of course, yes, we can. But this happened to be a Train AC system and which is very sensitive to voltage. And I said, well, Jay, let me go up in the attic and just shut the breaker off. Oh, we don't need to shut the breaker off. We'll be fine. Da 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 da. Haka haka, haka haka.
I know
Hokey
where
pokey.
you're going. I'd been there.
Da 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 da. And I was like, okay, all right. So I didn't. Being that my brother is the Rock of Gibraltar immovable object that he is, as far as tenacious, if he ever passes, hopefully it never happens, which I'm going to put tenacious on his too, because he doesn't stop. He just doesn't stop. And so anyway, the short story long, two wires touched together, and it blew the main board out on the train unit that was upstairs on a Saturday afternoon at 4:00. Yeah.
100 plus temperatures.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the same thing happened to me, but it didn't blow the main board out. It blew the 5-amp fuse on the main board.
Oh, okay. Well, at least you can change the fuse. So I happen to know a really good AC guy, and I called him, and he goes, "Oh, darn it, you changed." And he reminds me of Mater on Cars. Yep, yeah. Oh man, you tried to change. You put one of those highfalutin thermostats in, didn't you? And I was like, "Yes, sir, we did." He goes, "I bet you didn't turn the breaker off, did you?" And I was like, "No, sir, we didn't." He's like, "Well, that's the first stupid mistake you made."
You're doing a very good impression there.
I know.
You will do voiceovers for movies.
Yeah, I'm working on that. Yeah, no, there's no story behind that one. So, yeah, so he gets us into one of these AC shops that's open on the weekends, but there's a trick to that. It's a captive audience. So you have to pay a flat fee before you even walk in the building and know if they even have the part. He's like, well, if you call this number, you can probably get them to answer the phone. And then if you get them to answer the phone, you just tell them what model number. Chances are they'll have it because it's the main train shop, and we'll just go from there. So, all right. So short story long, called it. He had the board $790 later because not only did it blow the main board, he goes, well, if you blew the main board, you probably blew the baffle board too, and you're going to need a baffle board. So now we're at $1,275 later, and
Not making a quarter off.
not making a quarter off the whole day's worth of work spent there.
Okay, so who stumped up? Did you stump up because you did it and crossed the wires, or did Jason?
Jason did it.
'Cause
No, he knows he did it. He'll admit it. He did it. I'm gonna get yelled at later, but he did it. He totally did it. As I'm watching to see if the phone rings, but no, he totally did it. Because we saw it spark. We saw it short, and I was like, oh. He's like, oh, that's just the common wire. It'll be fine. But JD, oh no, man, that common wire is the worst one out there. Man, you mess that one up, man. You're screwed.
I think you ought to do the whole show in that voice.
I could try. Maybe it's like,
Hey, I think we should bring Jason on the show and let him give his side of the story.
oh yeah, he'll tell you that he screwed up because he was the one in this contortionist of an attic. So you pop the attic door and you think you can see the AC. Oh no, when I say crawl space, it is 100% a crawl space, and you are on your belly the whole time, face first in attic and face first in this AC unit, which he pulled. He's the one that changed the board. So he changed the board and this and that, and we got them all fixed, AC back on. And so needless to say, no, we do not touch thermostats anymore. So I would agree with Ian's synopsis. Let a professional change the thermostat. It's worth the $200 to get it.
I mean, I've done mine. I've got 3. I've changed them all out for different Wi-Fi type.
I've done them for myself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if somebody else said to me, "Oh, can you change thermostat?" I'd say, "No,
See.
you need to get an HVAC guy to do that."
Yeah.
And I agree, Ian. That's the thing. You know, friends and family, you do a whole bunch for yourself, and oh, well, come do mine. The first time something happens, it'd be back in the Justin scenario,
Yeah.
where you out of a whole bunch of money trying to help somebody out.
Hey, what's your synopsis, Ray? What's your take on that one?
About changing stuff out on your own.
Yeah, do it yourself versus professional install. Because I know it pisses you off to pay somebody else to do it, but there's just certain things, you know.
No, I mean, I'll do the stuff around my house because I don't care if I blow it up, I blow it up. But
And you're allowed
yeah,
to.
I don't.
You're allowed to do high voltage stuff in your own house, but you're not allowed to do it for anybody else.
I call myself an electrician, but
Right.
certain people get mad when I say that.
I have a
Particularly
voltage limit.
electricians.
I have a voltage ceiling, man. I don't go above 220.
Oh gosh, I don't like to go above 110.
No.
Like I am not a fan of any of that. Yeah.
Well,
I don't have no problem because I worked in the look 4160, 13.8. It's all the same. It's gonna hurt.
I can tell you 110 doesn't hurt anything like as much as 240.
No, 240 is like a snake bite, man.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like
Well,
somebody
you remember for
smacking
50
you in.
years, that's what I was used to.
Yeah, well, right. And then the radio, I mean, you're picking up radio stations in Japan if you get hit with 240.
Yes.
I'll never forget the
So
time.
one thing you can remember: the higher voltage you're gonna get hurt from the throw versus the shock.
All right, old school. What kind of voltage does a distributor cap give off when you're starting a car?
Oh, a lot more than that.
Yeah, so Jared,
It's about 40,000 volts.
the reason Jared, my brother Jared, so he's between Jason and I, does no longer helps with the car because Jason and I were working on his Mustang and it had been misty, raining and stuff. The hood was up, and so in mid crank, he decides to try to wipe off the distributor cap of Jason's Mustang right after we put in an MSD high voltage ignition. I've never seen somebody he jumped so high his head hit the hood of the car.
Yeah. Fortunately, it's like, you're not touching a constant voltage.
No.
But somebody gives you a 40,000 spark plug shock. I've had one of those as well.
Yeah, it's
or
not
at least
fun.
one. It's like
It's not fun. Usually you try to, sometimes when you're doing the timing or ignition on the block to see if your ignition
you
is
just
firing.
wish it had
Yeah.
given you superpowers. Like
I know. No, we were trying to get him to stand a certain way to see if he could pick up the baseball game that evening, but he didn't enjoy any of those things. So, all right, is luxury tech just a status symbol? Again, I think it follows with your first question. I think
if you want to show it off to somebody and whether you enjoy it or not, then yes, it's a status symbol.
but sometimes I would say luxury tech isn't as good as the mainstream stuff because it's
You
limited.
and if you buy something just because you're buying the name and you think that's luxury, then more for you. But if you buy something that's a really truly a luxury thing and you enjoy it, then it's not a status symbol.
True.
I buy things based on quality and reliability.
He buys polished washers at Harley dealership next door.
Yeah, but he buys Hisense TVs because they're cheap.
Exactly. Ian, you're not bragging, you're not banging me on being cheap, Ian.
Hey,
Hey, I learned from you. You taught me well.
No, you bought that TV long before I knew you, and then all you ever said was, "I bought it because it was cheap."
I did.
it's true.
I did buy
not
it. But
lying.
that's not a secret.
And
But
then,
again- but-
and then you get OLED shamed because you didn't get an OLED,
Well, and I'm gonna tell you the honest to God truth.
which
Yeah.
is
I didn't learn nothing. Everything I learned about TVs and OLED, mini LED, and all these is from the show.
yep.
When I came before this show,
When
I
he's
never,
not
I
sleeping.
never had no idea. All I ever bought my whole entire life was TVs based
Based
on price
on price.
and size. Price
My,
and
my
size.
rule of thumb: never go bigger and buy lower quality ever. It's the two things that don't mix together.
I think.
You know, that's like ponchos for Mexican food. Yeah, you can eat it, but it all tastes like shit.
Did you ever see the Trinitron TV? The
remember
CRT
that.
tube?
Yeah.
We had one of those. It was like, because
Yeah.
it's the best. It was luxury.
Was
And
that the flat screen, the silver one? Even before that, when it was actually like a piece of oak
had that
walnut
little red line
furniture
down it.
Yeah, yeah.
which was odd, but
Mm-hmm.
it was like, it was the best color TV you could get
Yep,
at the time.
yep.
And you enjoyed it, but you didn't hold back. You said to everybody, look, I've got this TV and it's better than yours.
So a couple news things about the Sony show. How do I say this?
The one we were invited to.
Not quite ready for prime time. Yes, that one. we'll see you next year is basically what I'll say. That's the nicest way I can say it on their new RGB engine. That the TCL is just too overwhelmingly better than their new lineup at the moment. So I did not go to the show. I was texted by somebody that I value their opinion dearly, as I've known this person for many, many, many years, and it was not what they were not what they were expecting to see.
There won't be one next year, will there?
Well, I mean, Sony's still going to be around. It's just they're not going to be. They're going to probably have a TCL injection fairly soon.
Is that that goes along the lines with Botox?
Yeah, something like that. All right, Audio Junkie, our last bank of questions. We'll move through these quick as we finish up the show. Vinyl versus streaming, nostalgia or superior sound? What do you think, Mr. Graydon?
I think it's nostalgic, but I do think it is better sound.
Okay, what about you, Byron?
He just likes the snap, crackle, and pop.
Oh,
Yeah, no.
Hey, I'm so.
Doo-dee-doo. All right, Ray, where you line up on that? Vinyl versus streaming, nostalgia or superior sound?
Nostalgia.
Yep, I agree with Ray.
I think vinyl is just nostalgia. I don't think it's there. I don't think, in my opinion, that people are going to sit there and care if they're walking around, a park or something like that, but their streaming audio doesn't sound like vinyl.
I think I've said this before on season 1, because we had a vinyl lover on the show that was almost combatant with this particular category or question. I will say this. Vinyl creates a situation where you can unplug, unwind, and enjoy. You don't have to be holding your phone. You don't have to be you're not digging for the next song. It is made to be indulged. It is made to be like, I love Ian's analogy that he used just a few minutes ago about a restaurant, talking to a wine sommelier and what pairs with the steak. And so to me, vinyl falls into that. It's a nostalgic thing. It's something that's fun to do on the weekends, to hunt for vinyl with your kids or with your family members. Go hit an old audio shop or an old vinyl shop and dig for records. There's something fun about that. Now what's not fun is the price of the physical media. That's not fun at all. That's absolute borderline insanity.
Well, we saw something the other day when I was in Best Buy, 2 for $25.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, I think there are stores that are giving it away because it's starting to fade just a wee bit. A lot of people are doing what you guys had said in the beginning, a couple questions back, and they're supporting local vinyl shops, like Volume Music, and then VT, and then Space City Audio. That would be your 3 local vinyl shops around there. I think here's the thing. I'm a facts guy. Let's get to the facts. Vinyl is not compressed. Okay, it is that the reason why you have, when you buy a piece of music from vinyl and it has 5 disc with it or 4 disc with it. Do you even call them disc? What do you call them? I don't know what the hell you call them. Records?
Platters.
5 platters, 5 different platters with the side of chutney. And what the hell is chutney? Is that a Disney movie? What is that? Is that like a garnish of some sort?
No, we'll cover that off at another. when we get into the food business.
I got you. All right,
The Nutella version.
So all right. So anyway, it's just a fun word to say in a weird accent. Kind of like pickles. Anyway,
come on, Governor, get on with
I'm
it.
trying my brain. Sorry, it went south. It went not south, but weird. But anyway, what I'll say is that it's uncompressed, so it is good quality. There's nothing wrong with the quality. Where the sacrifice is low frequency. It's harder The low frequency cutoff on a vinyl is like 30 hertz, maybe slightly lower than that, which means you're not going to get a lot of subsonic activity. And that's depending on the needle, depends on the cartridge. So vinyl can get really expensive really quick. You can hot rod a turntable, even a basic turntable with a better cartridge, and get more out of it. Its fault is that it gets dirty. When it gets dirty, you get more snap, crackle, pop, and you can damage your record or vinyl or whatever the hell you want to call it for you weirdos. Sorry, you're not weirdos, but streaming to me,
aficionados.
There you go. Streaming is higher quality. Yes, I said it. The data doesn't lie. The math doesn't lie. Data, the streaming, you can go down to 5 hertz, which isn't even audible. You can go down to 15 hertz or 20 hertz, which is mixed in music, which is what something a bass guitar can get into those lower registers. A piano can get into not a piano, but a bass guitar, an oboe, cello, things like that can get into those lower registers where it can be felt and not heard in some of those notes.
Interesting.
A vinyl's not going to really shine in that aspect of it. But go ahead. Well, it's interesting.
I was just going to say, we were talking about infrasonic and subs and sound and stuff like that. And as you know, I went to Do-Si-Do the other night to see a local band that I like.
Blue Water Highway Band.
That's the one.
Yeah. Awesome band. Jam band.
They
were they with their original singer this time around? Because I know you said they switched singers.
No, the two guys that started it are still in it.
Okay.
But the girl that was the singer and the original bass player got married and went off and had kids, so they still participate when they record in studio.
They procreated, not as much live shows. Got it.
Yeah, so they're just as good. But this was it's called Real Life, Real Music, which is a podcast / radio show that's recorded at various venues. Kyle Hutton, I think the guy's name is. Anyway,
just know that name.
Yeah, well, he's a singer-songwriter, but he was actually one of the people that helped Do-Si-Do along in the early days. And what they would do, they would host a band or a singer, but he would, and it's a question and answer thing, but they would talk about specific songs or specific albums, and he'll ask them questions. Anyway, I'm digressing. It was very good, but I was sat right near the front because it's in their usual table format.
Yep.
And I was sat on that table, which was at the right-hand side of the stage. And I was actually sat with my foot on the wooden surround of the sub that was right there, which kind of improved things quite a bit because you get that sound just coming up your body. But
a little bit of vibration there.
What you're saying is you wouldn't get that kind of level of subsonic, infrasonic.
You're just not going to get
vinyl.
that with a vinyl unless you have the right cartridge, which is going to cost a whole lot of money. And so it really just depends on. It depends on how you want to cross the bridge. It really, but to me, I line up with Ray. I think it's more of a nostalgia thing more than a quality thing. A lot of people are going to argue about that. Flame throwing. The fireballs and the catapults and launch, but the data doesn't lie. You and I have covered the data on this. The data does not lie on this.
Well, it depends what data you're talking about.
Well, I'm talking about frequency data. It's just.
Right, but if you talk about like in the early days when you were going from analog to digital, it was recorded analog. It was converted to analog, then it was converted to digital for, say, CDs, but then it became ADD, and like you and me, it's not, it's ADHD, but if you talk about, even at the highest bit rate for digital, it's still digital. There are going to be...
So CD quality is right at, the original CD quality was 21.4 is where it was at, and then eventually it started creeping into what the industry standard for high-res audio, which is 44.1. Most high-res audio, or people that are advertising they have was 44.1, and it started at 18. CDs actually started at 18.1, which vinyl would.
What I'm saying is, even at the highest not frequency, the highest bit rate now, there's still steps between each thing, but they get smaller and smaller. It's like resolution on a TV screen.
Correct.
If you got 1080p, if you stand close enough, you can see the pixels. If you got a 4K, you got to stand a lot closer. But there's still pixels. It's still not an analog image like, say, on original film.
Right.
So audio is the same. If you record it analog, and that's what vinyl would.
Then it's going to sound better on analog.
You have got the whole range. It may be that it's not recording the bottom end as well as.
If you go look at the originals, if you go look at something like ZZ Top, Trace Hombres, or Johnny Cash, or somebody like that.
That's why people say vinyl sounds warmer, because it
is warmer.
Because it hasn't got any of those steps.
Yeah.
But then it's, how can you differentiate? You can probably hear sound better than I can. An eagle flying at 5,000 feet could probably see better than I can, because they have better resolution.
Right.
So it all depends on the listener or viewer as to whether they can appreciate that warmth or that depth, or whichever version of the audio they're listening to works for them.
So the better resolution, in my opinion, also depends on what it crosses into Ray's gonna get mad territory. It depends on the speakers. Some speakers can interpret sounds better than others. Some speakers can pick up and broadcast sound better than others, and some of them can't. So it depends on the speakers, depends on the equipment, it depends on the needle, the cartridge. It depends on how clean the vinyl is. It depends on what vintage the vinyl was pressed. It depends on what gram of record it is, in vinyl, because the older ones were way thinner, easier to scratch. They deteriorate over time. You have to store them properly. You can't just keep them in a garage and get them out of the garage and expect them to play like they did 20, 30, 40 years ago. Because if they weren't stored properly, then that's the initial issue. Here's the thing, streaming's better. It just is. It just is. And I know there are people out there they're gonna disagree. This is not it's about a perspective thing. It's about a data thing. It's the same data that comes across between a streaming movie file and a kaleidoscope or a Blu-ray disc. It's just that's the differentiation.
Or a Big Mac or a filet steak.
Right, exactly. And
if you want to enjoy something that's the best quality, you'll probably listen to something on vinyl that you really like and you want to listen to,
because it's an experience.
But if you want to listen to music all day long, you're going to do streaming. Right.
And that leads us into our last question, because I think we beat the cable thing to death already, because he asked about cables. High-res audio, audible upgrade, or marketing gimmick? Let's go around the room. Raymond, starting with you.
High-res audio or what?
Is it audible or a marketing gimmick?
I mean, no, I don't think it's a gimmick. Audio is forever changing. It's people are gonna, I don't know. That's kind of a question. Like, honestly, I got no opinion on it.
Okay,
but I don't think it's a gimmick.
Okay,
I don't think it's a gimmick.
You don't think it's a gimmick? Okay, Byron, what do you got?
Isn't that a certification for high-res audio?
There is. Well, there used to be. That company went out of business, called MQA, Master Quality Audio.
I just purchased a audio control Beacon 2 Bluetooth streaming device.
Right.
And it has the audio high-res resolution audio sticker on it.
Yep.
To be high-res and certified.
Yep.
So if there's a certification for it, then it can't be a personal opinion.
He's not wrong. Ian, what do you think?
Define high-res audio.
High-res audio is, I would say, is it worth paying?
Yeah, but define
Tidal
how
versus
would I know that I've got high-res audio or not?
Tidal versus, well, you can
Bit
hear
rate.
it. You can hear it. Like if you compare the basic, well, now because Spotify actually has CD quality audio now. I used to, it was just MP3 audio, which is why I hated Spotify. They just got it within the last 2 weeks. If you compared standard Spotify versus Tidal, night and day. Like not even close of a comparison between the bit rate and quality, meaning you have bass, you have mid-range, you have high frequency extension, you have all that stuff. Quillbuzz, same way. Apple Spatial Audio, same way. It's getting into that higher res stuff. The industry standard where high res audio starts now is 44.1. Anything above 44.1, 192, I think you can go all the way up to 240 something. That's where you start getting into marketing territory, because to me, there's very little, like when we release the show, it's released in 241 AAC file. It's the highest resolution that you can release the show in. It's
Okay, so
yeah.
Comparing that to, like, I use Amazon Music.
Depends on which Amazon Music.
And I'm just looking at some now. And if I'm looking at Wish You Were Here 50th edition from Pink Floyd, it's showing me UHD and Atmos.
Yep. So that's going into what's called spatial audio or atmospheric audio, if it's available to you.
But it says UHD.
So I don't know what the hell they're.
Well, you see, you got to be careful.
I don't know what the hell they mean by UHD unless
So if I look at an older album,
ultra high def.
Well, I know what it means, but I just don't know what they're talking about in relation to a song.
So if I look at an older album, say like Queen Live Killers, it says HD.
Right.
There may be some stuff on here that doesn't have HD,
or maybe it's remixed that way, or maybe they don't.
Apple calls it lossless
Lossless or spatial.
Spotify got another name for it.
Well, they just released it as I don't remember. It's Spotify Elite.
Your service, Tidal, they got another name for it too.
My level of hearing, I'm probably not going to tell the difference between UHD or HD or Dolby Atmos.
Tidal. Yeah, no, it's Tidal. That would be Tidal. Yeah.
But I mean, and even Google Music and Apple, see, some services, like, if I'm not mistaken, some services will charge you more money for the, quote, high quality streaming services.
Well, they all do. Yeah, no, they all do. So, and I think that's what he's asking. So, yes, it's not a marketing gimmick. It's there. There is a difference. I've actually compared A and B comparison between Spotify versus Tidal or Spotify versus Apple. Spotify is just trash, and I haven't now. With that being said, I haven't heard the newest edition that's come out in the last week. So I don't know that for sure. So some guy, actually a client of ours, was asking about that because he's just now getting into the streaming, bought 2 Rel T9Xs for 2-channel, that type of stuff, just now tiptoeing into it, and he had a lot of questions. And he was asking that, hey, he got this upgrade notice from Spotify, and if you go look at it, the cutoff point I think it's right at 44.1 on this new Spotify thing, which is, again, that's where Tidal starts.
Yeah, and then if you say, like, with Apple Music, if you use a Android-based player, you can get the 48K versus the 44.1, because the FLAC files, FLAC files, they can be produced at 48. Well, Apple's AAC caps out at 24.
Yeah, so where we get into murky water here, and this will be a good kind of springboard on the show for next week. Where you get into murky water is streamers. You have people asking, is Sonos better than Wim? Or is Wim better than Lumen? Is Lumen better than Name? And is Name better than, I can't think of any other damn names for streamers. NAD Blue Sound or Hios or whatever. And here's what I'll say. I'm going to get so killed for saying this crap. it back when these CD players first came out, they used to call them transports, audio transports, and where one CD player shined over the other one was something called clocking. So it was actually a digital clock between how the laser would time a line versus the disc, the physical thing that it was trying to read it off of. So when you get into the streaming world, the waters get a little murky because they put the clocking factor into this. Some of them feel like, I swear to God, I'd swear that they put cinder blocks in these things to make them feel heavier than they need to be. And they even put like isolation pads, like it's going to affect the jitter in the streaming or something weird.
Back to your thing, you say your hearing won't determine that, but that is not a true statement. Let me tell you why. If you streaming Bluetooth music to a device and the music is not high quality audio, then it's going to play at this level. And you stream the same song to the same device at high quality audio, it's going to be playing at this level. So the high quality is going to be louder than the non-high quality.
It's just going to play full. You're going to get the good stuff at low volume. You don't have to push the gain as high.
So in other words, you set your device on 50, and the bad stuff is going to play at 50. But if you keep it at 50, then the good stuff will play like it say at 60, 65.
So would I buy a high-end audio system and put a $300 Sonos streamer on it? Probably not. Just because it caps off at a certain frequency. It caps off at 44.1 and it doesn't go above the 44.1. But then ask me the same question of how many artists actually put their files out at 192. Very few. Most of the time it's classical music that's put out that way. There's radio stations that broadcast nothing but 192. And yeah, it's neat. It's colorful. It's vivid. It's warmer, a lot warmer. And so I'd probably get something like an NAD Blue Sound or Lumigen or something. You can get a $500,000 streamer. I mean, good Lord. You can get into really crazy nutball territory on these types of things. And
you got $1,000 speaker cables, I guess, so you could get a $500,000
Well, yeah, I mean, if you got Sonos Faber Aidas or Wilson Sashas or, something that Kronos or something really crazy, then yeah, I mean, I changed a $14,000 record cartridge the other day, and it's just like, I wish you hadn't told me how much it cost before I changed it, because I wasn't as squeezing my cheeks together before that. But yeah, no, I mean, again, it's cool to have nice things, and what I'll say is don't blow holes in people that want to buy nice things, because there's nothing wrong with nice things. It's like I got a friend that bought a GTD. $250,000 Mustang the other day and has it. And it's gorgeous. It's an artwork. It's a piece of art. The car is absolutely stunning. And they just broke the Nürburgring, beat the ZR1 yesterday in a Mustang GTD. And he owns this car. And you know what? If you can afford and go do all that stuff, go on with your bad self. Do it. You want to buy $30,000 speaker cables? Call me. I'll sell them to you.
But Justin, go ahead, Ray.
I was going to say, I just want to make one thing clear. I don't care what you do with your money. I could care less. But when I'm not going to knock anybody for wanting to buy nice things.
And you
so I'm just leaving it at that because, I have my dealing with, expensive stuff. And, that's just my opinion. But
right.
Anyway,
and the point of the matter is what you enjoy and spend your money on.
Well, Byron, how much did you spend on your motorcycle?
We're not going to talk about that. What you enjoy and spend your money on, other people might view as waste. A simple terminology. Some people spend $7,000 to $8,000 for deer lease to go set in the lease to shoot deer,
to freeze their butt off,
and freeze their butt off, and might not see nothing.
Sitting in a wooden box, yeah.
They might not see not one deer, but then I spent the money for the lease for the year.
It's just what's important to you, ladies and gentlemen. That's what it matters. What matters.
My old school uncle told me this. He says, if you had $10,000 and I had $10,000, you'll take your $10,000 and go travel the world. and you come back, you ain't got nothing but a memory. I'll take my $10,000 and buy me some four-wheelers and horses and sailboats, and I'm still enjoying my money while you have nothing but a memory.
Until it breaks.
But at the end of the day, he still has something physical he put his hands on versus my memory.
Well, and that's what I'll get back to the mom and pop stuff. People, guys, ladies and gentlemen, you need to value the person's time just like that expert values your time. People don't have a value for time anymore. They value tangible asset. And that's what makes small businesses that are special, that are masters in their craft, that have studied the things they've studied.
Yep.
And
it's like
yeah,
artisans in construction work.
right.
You're not going to hire somebody to do something that they're not an expert at because they just happen to work in construction. Oh, well, you can do this. I mean, that project that I've got that I want to build those
Right.
kind of windows and doors, I want to get your guy.
Yeah, Vicente, he's a just an
craftsman.
artist.
Yeah.
No, and that's what I'm saying. It's we need to change the viewpoint of craftsmanship just as important as tangible asset, and knowledge just as important as tangible asset. The problem with the up and coming and even the current is that they've got this easy button now that thinks it's research and knowledge. Like, for instance, the poor soul that drowned yesterday.
Yeah.
Somebody ChatGPT'd it and started telling me it's this person's name. I'm not going to say it, this person's name, and she was, or he or she was this or that, and all this stuff about what happened. And I put that same link in an AI, and it said there is no viable information that it was this person or that is this and this and this and that. And that's what I'm saying. It's just like, it's wrong. It's wrong. And maybe it is. Maybe it will be that person, and God rest their soul. And I hate even talking about it like that, but it's like, be careful. Just be careful. And and I think that's kind of where we're at. Ray, you got anything else?
But Justin, would you be satisfied?
Do not.
Nietzsche does not. What?
Would you be okay if they put on a disclaimer notice on ChatGPT for entertainment purposes only?
I would be totally okay with that.
On
Yeah.
on ChatGPT responses.
Yeah. No, I would be totally okay with that. Ian, you had something?
Yeah, I've just answered my own question, looked it up quickly. Amazon Music HD is lossless CD quality, 16-bit, 44.1 kilohertz.
Yep.
With a bit rate of approximately 850, whereas Ultra HD is high-res studio quality, 24-bit, up to 24-bit and up to 192 kilohertz.
Yep. That's what I'm saying and I think Spotify is only CD quality. It's 16 to 44.1 is the same. That's the newest thing you're paying more money for.
Amazon give you the higher bit rate for free?
Both formats are included in the Amazon Music Unlimited subscription at no additional cost. And I happen to be on
That's it.
unlimited music.
All right. So, yeah, that is questions answered. Got a little hot on the topic there on some of those spirited
Don't forget
debates.
to follow us on Facebook.
Yes, for those ancient people that use Facebook, please follow us on Facebook.
Maybe we'll expand to Instagram or something.
You can see Ian's cat. Ray, Godspeed and safe travel next week. I know he was preparing for a trip. That's why he wasn't as vocal as he usually was. And
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys.
yeah, no, we're totally judging you. It's fine. We've been peeing on your chair the whole time. It's fine. No, we haven't. That would be weird. But all right, Ian.
Yes, sir.
Take us out, good sir.
Oh, dear. Here we go. Bye for now.
Byron
Say hello to my little friend.
and Raymond.
He's gone.
Bye.
Oh, there he is.
Deuces.
I love Byron. I love Ray, but he's like, bye. Bye for now. We'll see you next week with another cliffhanger of Technology Rocks.
Mater.